So glad to have you all here today. Welcome. This is the Soul Path Community class, our wisdom class. We're looking at the astrology for May 2026 today. So here's the ephemeris for the month. And we see that we begin on the very first day with our full flower moon, uh, 11 degrees Scorpio. We have some planetary changes. We have Pluto going retrograde on the 6th. That's the first of the summer retrogrades. But that will be the only retrograde all month. And that's worth noting because we're coming on the heels of new moon in Aries with the 5 other planets, I guess 6 if you include Eris. So we've got that Aries new moon burst of energy, very connected to the Saturn-Neptune alignment, where we are in this new 35-year cycle to bring soul level, imaginative, creative energies into the structures of our world. So we've got that new moon. This month's new moon is going to be in Taurus. And in Taurus, we get a little bit grounded and we take steps. And then finally, at the end of the month, we will have the blue moon. And you probably know um, the saying, once in a blue moon, something will happen. And that's because it's so rare that there are 2 full moons in a month. And that's why it's called the blue moon. The flower moon, of course, makes sense because it's the season of spring and the flowers are coming into bloom. And we see if you just, scanning this list of planetary changes, you can see we're finally starting to move out of Aries time and a little bit more into Taurus and Gemini and Venus, moving ahead a little bit into the sign of Cancer. Now, here is the moon for May 1st. And you can see that it is a full moon. It's 11 degrees and 20 minutes of Scorpio. A sun in Taurus, moon in Scorpio. Now, full moons represent culmination, completion. I think of them a lot as just kind of, standing at a point in time and reviewing what you have accomplished. It may be finished, it may be time for something to end and to leave, but it may be just a moment where you track what you have accomplished and you're processing. You're maybe releasing the pieces that no longer serve you. Maybe you're getting ready to do another little mini launch or a new start of something. And when we can kind of track ourselves to the moons, we move into the rhythm of the world's energy, the earth's energy of beginnings and endings, beginnings and endings. And yet, even within that, we're meant to stay present in each moment and, kind of follow the intuitive guidance that we may have. Now, you see here that at the point of this full moon, the clearest, most intense aspect it has is a square to Pluto. So this is a little bit challenging, of course. We know that Pluto is in Aquarius for 20 years, and this is a time that it is exposing corruptions and problems, especially related to technology, new ideas, progress, humanitarianism on one hand, authoritarianism on the other hand. And we're already seeing, recently that we just had, the world had the election in Hungary, that the authoritarian government was thrown out and the possibility of a little bit more progress has come forward. Um, so this moon, if we think about the sun in Taurus calling us forward to grounded security, safety, understanding the earth, understanding our bodies, understanding money and resources, and the moon in Scorpio suggesting a letting go and a release valve of where things might be wounded, conflicted, complicated, intense. And the moon also in Scorpio represents secrets, things that are hidden. And, we're getting so many secrets revealed at this point in time. on a daily basis. That, this is part of what is causing us to feel so so challenged, and like life is moving too fast. We cannot really easily handle the the sense of so much exposure, so much change happening so rapidly. It's kind of beyond, frankly, I think it's beyond our capacity as humans. And more, we're going to find that what we need is the earth. We need uh, the groundedness to get outside, to be with people, and to cultivate something of, what used to be normal, what used to be day-to-day life for human beings. In terms of other aspects of this first full moon that we experience, you can see that we still have a great amount of the Aries stellium that we had in the new moon in Aries. Saturn and Neptune are close enough together that they're really working together, but Saturn's going to take off. It's coming up to about 15 degrees before it goes retrograde for its summertime. And at least I think it's 15. I may be off on that. So we are dealing with still, excuse me, still a lot of Aries energy of the movement forward, to feel brave, courageous, to go for it, to trust the inner gut feel. And with Mercury conjunct Chiron, that's operating in our minds. The way we think about things is asking us to understand that we are not as wounded as we think we are, that we're not as powerless as we think we are. Oh, and by the way, in case you're wondering what this little n is, someone was talking to me the other day about Nessus, which is one of the uh, centaur objects, asteroid belt, and talking about how Nessus is supposed to be about family trauma and abuse, and that's what its meaning is: intergenerational trauma, abuse of, like child abuse in all of its forms. So I put it in as I do when I want to check something. And I checked it against a lot of people that I know who were severely abused, or uh, some who were abusers. And honestly, I couldn't find any correlation. I couldn't find it more intensely, like joined to planets or joined to angles or something that would indicate that that is true. So, and unfortunately, I left it in when I was working on the charts for this class. So if you're wondering what the N is, it is Nessus, N-U-S-S, U-S. Um, Mars intensity, we still have a lot of aggression going on. We still have the lies and manipulation of the government, which is a shadow side of Saturn-Neptune. And, of course, we always have that. That's so much a part of our world, but it does seem to be particularly intense right now. And you can also see, as we're coming into May, that Uranus is in Gemini now to stay until 2032. It came in last summer for 4 months, and is now in, as of, gosh, what's today? Is today the 24th? Yes. So tomorrow, from where we're sitting right now, this is about to move. So Uranus is stationed, retrograde, ready to go tomorrow. But by this moon, it will be joined with Venus and bringing us into new ideas, shocking us into new ideas, new ways of learning, new ways of communicating. We can look back and we can see what it's done for us in Taurus and all the issues that it's brought forward about the planet, our bodies, health, and money. And now it takes aim at learning, teaching, speaking, and what data, what information, what knowledge we have, and how that all works. And we can see that at the time of this full moon that Venus Uranus is in a square to the nodes. And we know that the south node is about letting go of worry and anxiety and perfectionism and the things that get us stuck with Virgo, as opposed to the service, the humility, the problem solving that is such the gift of Virgo. The North Node in Pisces uh, asks us to surrender and trust again and again and again. And through the situations we're in this world, we get lots of practice in the surrender. The new moon is on May 16th. And it is at fundamentally 26 degrees of Taurus. And we've seen this now going on for some months, that every month around mid-month, we're having a new moon that is at the very end of the sign. Some of them have been, 29th degree, anaretic degree, particularly intense. But this one is 26. It still represents some very solid, grounded energy. And the new moon is connected to Mercury. You can see that here, Mercury almost at 29, Taurus, and Uranus, which in Gemini is disposited or ruled by the Mercury. So you have with this new moon, Mercury for communication, speaking, writing, thinking, all aspects, teaching. And that is the mind, the indicator of the mind. And Uranus is the indicator of the high mind. Together, they are very potent and powerful. They can look at details and synthesize information, but they can also channel. The Uranus is about brilliant ideas that just pop in, that channel through, that there's instant solving of problems, and this intense kind of um, new innovative thinking that comes forward with this. I see this combination in the charts of writers many times. So what's happening? It's a new moon in Taurus, new launch of grounded, secure, safety, body, earth-based energies or issues, along with ideas that are grounded, solid, steady, but with this spiciness that Uranus and Gemini brings, where something brand new may emerge, something brand new may be channeled and come forward. I think we can look for some major problem solving inventions that get birthed around this time. And of course, we won't know till years in the future that this happens, but the combination of this new moon, the Chiron Mars together, which moves things forward in independent and new ways, the continued imagination and creativity of Neptune with Saturn, where Saturn is going to build something, uh, Pluto in Aquarius, which also indicates, powerful new inventions. We have a lot here that is launching. And so if you have something that you're wanting to start, definitely consider the second 2 weeks of May. So 17th, 18th, usually you want to wait a day or two after a new moon so you can start to see that little crescent. That's when the power starts to build. So 17th, 18th, up to maybe about the 29th or 30th of May, really good dates to start anything you want to start. New website, new business, new relationship. Just think about what you would like to do. Um, the the new moon, if we're looking at the East Coast chart, is happening in the eighth house. That relates to finances. I suspect this has something to do with the government's need for more and more money to fund the war that we are unfortunately in. And here we have the full moon, the blue moon, and it is on May 31st, 4:45 a.m. East Coast, and it is at basically 10 degrees of Sagittarius. So letting go of the Sagittarian side, the moon in Sagittarius, well, the shadow of that tends to be standing on one's soapbox, thinking you know everything, uh, preaching in ways that are a little obnoxious. And yet, at the positive side, the moon in Sagittarius upholds values, upholds truth, wants to do something that is bigger, that is in alignment with something that's meaningful. Where the sun is focusing, though, on information and more data collection, getting more facts, becoming more open-minded. And this is augmented by Uranus in Gemini, also, again, fast ideas channeled, and Mercury in its own sign. So a lot of power here. The Mercury is in a sextile with Chiron, adding emphasis to new ideas. And Mars, by this point, has moved into Taurus. So look at the difference between the beginning of the month and the end of the month. We started out with still like five of the planets in Aries. Now we're down to three out of that original seven, eight planet stellium related to the new moon in April. And now we've got some groundedness with Mars in Taurus. We've got new ideas, communication, mind opening, data and facts coming forward with Gemini. We've got the heart-centered energy of Cancer. Now we've been experiencing Jupiter in Cancer since June last year, and this is continuing to the end of June this year. Having Venus come and join it is quite lovely for relationships, home, family, caring relationships, and bringing what is like your meaning, your sense of uh, the kind of truth you want to align your life with that you may have been pondering for this last year, especially the last 4 months when Jupiter was retrograde. Like, what matters to you? Who's your family? What are you willing to give to the people that you care about? And of course, that also means, especially when we're starting to see that um, connection here to that's a square to from the Venus to the Saturn, but it's going to pull this together. Venus and Jupiter are moving closer and closer to conjunction, closer and closer to this square to Saturn. So we have, the energy of relational, unconditional, caring, nurturing love, trying to find its balance with boundaries that in the sign of Aries let us set boundaries, be strong, be mature and wise, but also connect to what our personal truth is. And, this Neptune Saturn continues to resonate, this new cycle where we're all asked to connect most fully to what our soul path is, what it is we are here for. um, we all have some role, larger or small, in this shift of the way that we live on the planet to allow us to survive, to allow us to move forward as a collective. It's been building and building and building for decades, and now we're, pretty much standing on the edge where it seems like it will go one way or the other. But it overall, if we imagine that this Earth is to survive, we have to do it together. And the planetary configurations really starting to move together at this point in time. Pluto trine Uranus, both in air signs, sextiling to Neptune, Saturn, uh, in fire. This energy starts to uh, build the kind of cohesion that trines and sextiles have. And I think we'll start to see changes happen at a faster rate than we can imagine because it's been pretty disappointing for most of us who, uh, believe in equality and freedom for all. So, now is the time, sort of starting, this spring, but very much activated when these planets are at 4 degrees in July 19th, most specifically. You can see that already in May, they're dancing around that 4 degree mark, and we get to see a little bit more of what their potential is. Uh, yeah, and the Uranus is in fact part of that full moon. So expect by the end of May to see some surprises. And I would also count it in a square to the lunar nodes. So the surprises, the new information, the need to let go of beliefs that don't serve in a stressful way is going to support us in letting go of the Virgo and building into a higher frequency of creativity, surrender, trust, and compassion with the North Node in Pisces. Same class has been there for a while. Last day to register for intuitive skills for astrologers. I still have a couple of spaces left there. And otherwise, I'm getting ready for NORWAC. Maybe I'll see some of you there. And let's take a look at some charts for people who are here in person today.